Good morning, and welcome to a belated and canned edition of Quarry Farm Fridays with the Bluffton Library. The weather's not really cooperating, so internet's a bit of an issue out here where the buses don't run. We're sorry we're late, but we're happy to be here. Today, we're talking about slimers and crawlers, and that's not entirely accurate because the animals we're going to show you, although one is slimy, most of them aren't, and although they do all crawl. What we did today, we went down to Cranberry Run, which is a waterway which runs through Putnam County, and we pulled up some of the macroinvertebrates, the animals that live down in there. And what we have today, got a couple of things in my hand right now. One of them is an aquatic worm, and while worms do live in the ground, they also live in the water sometimes. And he's not very happy, or she's not very happy about being outside of the water. And there's not a whole lot to see, so I'm going to put this little animal back in our bucket of stuff. The other animal here is a cranefly larva. Now, I'm sure all of you have seen cranefly, or most of you at any rate, seen cranefly before. They look a lot like mosquitoes, only the Godzillas of mosquitoes. They're huge. They're what my mother called New Jersey mosquitoes when I was a kid. Don't know where that came from, but she said it a lot. Unlike mosquitoes, cranefly don't suck blood. They're not parasitic at all. They do, however, start their life cycle out in the water, as a lot of flying animals do. Dragonflies, damselflies, they all start their life cycle out in the water. And then when the time comes, they climb up the stalk of a plant or up a stick and get themselves up and out of the water, and they do what scientists call morphing. So they morph into their adult versions, which in this case will look like a giant mosquito. Got a rock here, and I don't know how clear it's going to be, but this is another flying insect that's crawling across. Kind of looks like a snail, and you can see him moving just a tiny little bit. And I'm going to pick him up now. This is a caddisfly. And caddisfly, using the materials that are available to them in the water, stones and sticks and whatnot, plus their own secretions, build cases for themselves. And sometimes they're long and skinny and just look like a stick. And sometimes, as in this case, they look like snails. Let me see if I can peel him. Look at that. I was able to peel him off the rock on the first shot. Hopefully that's not because he's dead. This is a mayfly nymph. And mayflies, they have I guess what they consider a problem up by the lake once a year in the spring. Mayfly morph into their adult forms by the millions, and they're flying all over, and it gets to the point up by the lake on the shore where they're actually sweeping up huge piles of these guys in their adult form. Ooh, he scurried. So that's a mayfly. And because the weather is starting to go even further south, we're going to move this along quickly and show you the one really big guy that doesn't take a lot of effort to see. He is definitely a crawler, does not live in the water. Some of them do. But he lives with us inside the house. If I can figure out how I got this shut. This, in this very old pillowcase, It's like a magic trick. This is Tyree. And Tyree obviously is a snake. He's a reptile. And Tyree is formally is known as a red rat snake. But farmers call them corn snakes. And they live primarily in the southern United States, although we're starting to see them, he's very active, seeing them more and more in Ohio. And they call them corn snakes because they like to go into corn cribs and eat the animals that they always eat. So mice, small rats, they will eat some birds if they can catch them. Earthworms, other insects. Tyree was bred for the pet trade. And so he has never lived in the wild. He came from a woman who had too many snakes and was looking to rehome at least one of them. And we took Tyree in. And if you were looking at his head and you see his tongue constantly flicking, that's because even though Tyree has nostrils and a nose, he has no sense of smell. So when his tongue is flicking out like that, he's actually smelling the air, he's tasting the air to figure out what all is around, if there's anything dangerous, if there's anything edible, some food, or if there's anything fun to do. And for Tyree, a great deal of fun would be getting on the ground, but if he got on the ground, we'd never see him again. Snakes are very, very fast. They're all muscle. And so this is Tyree, and he's the last animal we're going to show you today. And thank you for your patience. Thank you for showing up and watching. And we'll see you again next week for this summer's last edition of Quarry Farm Fridays with the Bluffton Library. Go to your library. You can learn all about the animals we showed you today. Thanks, and have a wonderful weekend.